honestly can't remember being excited for this movie before the trailer came out. I was interested, but I wasn't really excited. I remember when some of the first images came out, I was like, obviously I'm gonna see it, but I'm not sold. The first two movies in this trilogy weren't great, and I'm not super impressed with what I'm seeing. It's funny, the first video I made on this channel, besides like my channel trailer, the video's gone now. It is, like, there's not a single frame of that video left in existence, but it was me covering the Entertainment Weekly cover that gave us our first look at Thor, Hela, and Valkyrie. But yeah, I was like, looks interesting, nothing's impressing me though. Then the trailer came out, and I saw this.
Well, it's a long story.
And I was sold immediately.
I'm not a queen or a monster. I'm the goddess of death. What were you the god of again?
Thor Ragnarok is the third installment of the Thor trilogy. I guess it's a quadrilogy now, isn't it? But it was the third installment in the Thor franchise and the third director of said franchise. Kenneth Branagh, Gilderoy Lockhart himself, directed the first movie. Alan Taylor helmed the second movie, and for this movie they brought on Taika Waititi to direct. Waititi brought some much-needed change and really reinvented this character, and I think that's what Thor needed. I liked the Shakespearean feel of the first film, but I definitely think the tone and the feel of Thor Ragnarok is the way to go with Thor. Thor in this movie's so fun. He's a goofball, he's always cracking jokes. It's clear that at some point in time the team figured out that Chris Hemsworth has great comedic timing and they just decided to utilize that. Now I want to say that this change is jarring because Thor did not act this way in the Avengers movies or the Thor movies, but I can't bring myself to say it's jarring because it feels like it's how it should have been from the start. Like at no point watching Thor Ragnarok am I like, this feels different. It feels more like this is how it should have been the whole time. Thor isn't the only thing that gets a revamp in this movie though. This movie's so colorful, it makes me smile like a child on Christmas morning. Look at every shot on Sakaar. It's so filled with color and life. I wish I could say the same about Asgard though. The best Asgard has ever looked on screen to this day is in the first Thor movie. The rest of Thor Ragnarok is gorgeous, but then they get to Asgard and it's gray again. How did we go from such a sharp contrast from this to this? Now what's the story of Thor Ragnarok? Well, I'm glad you asked. Usually when I word it like that, it sounds like I'm about to get into this giant thing about how overly complicated the story is. But that's not the case here. Thor Ragnarok's story is actually pretty simple. Thor is hunting the Infinity Stones and manages to find none of them over the course of 2 years, and it's worth noting, he already knew where 4 of them were, because he knows the Reality Stone is with the Collector, he knew the Power Stone was on Xandar because he's the one who tells the Guardians that Thanos got it from Xandar. He trusts the Mind Stone with Vision, and he knows the Tesseract is on Asgard. So he already knew where 4 of the 6 Infinity Stones were. What the hell was he doing for the 2 years? Finding the time in the Soul Stone? I mean, is time that hard to find? And also, I get why he couldn't find the Soul Stone, but he found 0 information in 2 years? But that's besides the point. It's not important to the story. Let's move on. So the cliffhanger from the ending of Thor the Dark World is resolved in about 2 minutes, and then the brothers of Odin go to Earth where they are mildly inconvenienced by Doctor Strange, at which point they're teleported to Norway where they find Odin, who reveals to them that they have a sister who really wants to kill stuff, because if her name and title didn't make that motive obvious enough, her outfit, her helmet, and the eyeshadow sure do. So then Odin dies and that sister immediately starts killing stuff. Now, Thor and Loki have to save Asgard. Pretty straightforward. So Thor and Loki get stranded on the planet Sakaar after Hela breaks Mjolnir and literally throws them out of the Bifrost. Upon arriving, Thor is kidnapped by the last surviving member of the Valkyrie, although he doesn't know that yet, and now he has to fight in gladiatorial matches, and the gladiator ring is like the central piece in this city, and gladiator matches are really important to them. And on Sakaar, we are introduced to the three best characters in this movie. Valkyrie, who's amazing, Jeff Goldblum, and Korg.
My name is Korg. I'm kind of like the leader in here. I'm made of rocks, as you can see, but don't let that intimidate you. You don't need to be afraid unless you're made of scissors. Just a little rock, paper, scissors joke for you.
The best part of Korg is that he's supposed to be this giant rock monster who's supposed to be intimidating, but he's voiced by Taika Waititi, who has the least intimidating voice on the planet. It's actually the funniest joke in this movie. But Sakaar also sets up my single biggest issue with the movie. Yes, it's funny, but it's too funny. Too funny as in the movie doesn't know when to stop being funny. The main story of this movie is that Thor, Hulk, and Loki are enslaved on a gladiator planet while the goddess of death tries to murder an entire planet of people and then branch out and murder all 9 realms. Ragnarok, the title of this movie, translates to Doom of the Gods, and is pretty much the ultimate Armageddon in Norse mythology, where several prominent figures, including several gods, die, and the world burns. That shit ain't fun. But this movie portrays it as fun, when it probably shouldn't. I am all for jokes in my Marvel movies, but at some point, the jokes need to stop, and in this movie, they never stop. This movie must feel like it would have failed if it wasn't making you laugh every 2 minutes. This movie has some of the most ill-timed jokes in the MCU. It has jokes that completely ruin any sense of drama, emotion, or tension. The worst one being Korg's joke when Asgard explodes.
The damage is not too bad. As long as the foundations are still strong, we can rebuild this place. It will become a haven for all peoples and aliens of the universe. Those foundations are gone. Sorry.
His planet just exploded. All of his people were funneled onto one ship. They don't know where they are. They don't know where they're going. And you make a joke about not being able to rebuild? Seriously? And the funny thing is that my favorite scenes in this movie aren't funny. Thor harnessing his power is absolutely badass, and I could watch that scene any day, but my absolute favorite scene in this movie is the scene in the elevator between Thor and Loki.
Do you truly think so little of me? Loki, I thought the world of you. I thought we were going to fight side by side forever, but at the end of the day, you're you and I'm me. And I don't know, maybe there's still good in you, but let's be honest, our paths diverged a long time ago.
And I would like to talk about Loki for a second, because Loki is a fantastic character in every movie he's in, but this is the best Loki has ever been. Loki is a character that has a complete arc in every single movie, but they never really redo the arc, right? In the first movie, he wanted his father's love, and when he didn't get that, he tried to take Earth by force to get respect. When that didn't work, he was imprisoned and he became super grief-stricken and ready to, go kill some people, but he also did keep it in the back of his mind that now might be a good chance to rule. And then in this movie, he goes from that kind of nonchalant ruler all the way to an actual hero. Loki is a good guy at the end of this movie. The movies don't undo his arc. He has a different arc in every movie, and he doesn't always end the movie by being redeemed and then having all of that completely undone in the next movie just for the sake of having a villain again. It all works. Thank you. But yes, his arc is fantastic in this film, and I love how closely it connects to Thor, because Thor hates Loki at the start of this movie for very fair reasons. And as Loki grows into a better and better person, so too does Thor, and that also goes as his power grows, and then it ends with him harnessing his full power and both sons of Odin fighting side by side on the battlefield to save their home. And I always loved this, and I always love the smile that Loki gives when he sees Thor harness his full power. It's such a cool moment. He just looks so proud of his brother. That's 3 of the Revengers I've covered. What about the 4th? Well, that, my friends, is where the problem arises. Hulk is in this movie, not just as a cameo, as a full-on side character. He has an arc and everything. Hulk starts off really cool. He breaks down the doors of the arena, roars, he's wielding 2 different weapons, he's got a full suit of armor, everyone's cheering for him. He has a slick haircut, he looks badass, then he whoops Thor's ass. Kind of, they whoop each other's ass. It's such a cool introduction. But then he starts talking.
Yeah, same. Hulk like fire, Thor like water, Hulk like real fire. Hulk like raging fire, Thor like smoldering fire.
He sounds like a DJ that hasn't figured out how to change his voice yet, but he pushed a button and now his voice sounds weird and he doesn't know how to change it back. It's god-awful. And there's no reason it should sound this bad. I am not a professional editor, if that wasn't apparent by my YouTube videos. But I feel like I could make Hulk's voice sound better. It just doesn't sound right at all. He doesn't sound fierce or gravelly or intimidating like he probably should. He straight up sounds like a dude with a sore throat who is trying to do his best. Hela is a villain that I like, and I feel like a lot of people liked her at first, but their minds are starting to change about her. But I think Hela's a fine villain. I think she works. Like, she's not amazing, but I still think she's a good villain. And up until Thanos, she had the best villain introduction in the MCU. She single-handedly wipes out Asgard's entire army. I mean, I would have knelt immediately. Actually, wouldn't have even taken me that long. Did you see how she came through that portal? She thought her entire purpose of existing was to conquer and kill. And then when she did that, Odin locked her up and covered it up. So when she gets free, she wants what she's owed. Yeah, I dig that. I'm fine with it. I never really had too much of an issue with Hela. She's kind of mustache twirling, but she's hot. But I do wish there was a scene where Thor and Hela just talked and maybe he tried to redeem her or something, or they tried to sympathize with each other. It just basically, she comes through the portal and Thor is immediately ready to whoop ass. The ending of this movie's so cool. Thor finally becomes king of Asgard. He's missing an eye, so he kind of feels like an Odin figure. He doesn't need a weapon anymore to use his powers. Loki is a good guy. Hulk is Hulk permanently after Banner sacrificed himself. It's so cool. And then Infinity War and Endgame pretty much undo all of it. You know what else is cool? The fight between Thor and Hulk. I still think the end is bullshit, but of course it was going to end that way. What other way was the fight going to end than the Grandmaster cheating? It does bother me, though, that Thor's weakness is electricity. The god of thunder, who can shoot lightning out of his hands, gets electrocuted. I don't care if it's supposed to be funny. It's stupid, and it makes no sense. Last positive I have. The best creative decision they made for this movie was taking out all the human characters and just deciding to embrace the space. Thor Ragnarok is a very fun movie. It's entertaining. It's a blast from start to finish. But I will say my latest rewatch confirmed something. The first Thor, still the best Thor. I am going to give Thor Ragnarok a B. I hope Taika doesn't go too crazy for Love and Thunder. I feel like he could, but I hope he doesn't. I mean, Lady Thor with the cancer storyline and Gore the God Butcher, like, I don't know how funny we can get with that. So, I hope he doesn't go too nuts. But But there you guys go. There's my review of Thor Ragnarok. What did you think of Ragnarok as well as my review? Let me know down in the comments below. Also, leave a like on this video, subscribe, click on the bell icon to receive all notifications from the MCU HQ. That's going to be it. Have a great day, guys.